Hey everyone, this is Matt M. Hoff, coming to you from Deeper Ministry headquarters, which is also my office in the basement of my house. So as we go, you may hear some noises from upstairs, the kids or my wife or whatever. But I am a spiritual and life coach, as well as the director of Deeper Ministry. And what we do is train you in the art of living free. Now, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, our lives have changed drastically, and living free looks a lot different, right? So, what we're going to talk about is how do we manage emotions in this time during a crisis like this, right? But before we jump in, I'd love to do a breathing exercise with you, which is just a great way to calm down, to tell our body we're okay, right? So, whether you're joining us live or you are watching this recording, I encourage you to join in. So deep breath in, deep breath out. Do it again, deep breath in, deep breath out. And this time, when we breathe in, I want you to breathe in everything good, everything positive, everything right, love, joy, peace, hope, healing, anything that you need, anything that you can think of or feel that would be good for you. Just breathe all that positivity, that goodness in. Ready? Breathe in, breathe out. Right? And then when we do a breath out, we're going to breathe out all the negativity, all the ugliness, all the overwhelming feelings of fear, anger, sadness, anything that has us stuck, anything that has us confused, all that kind of stuff, anything that is negative, let's just breathe that out. So let's breathe in the good, breathe out the negative. And just kind of imagine yourself breathing in good, releasing negative. Just a very simple, practical thing you can do that actually really helps. It's telling us, telling our body that you're okay, and we can release things that we've been holding on to, and receive things and bring in good things all around us as well, right? So as we go in the live session, you will get to post any questions you have on the message board, which you should be able to go down to the chat button on your Zoom and then type in any questions, and I'll get to those. Not in this session, but in a future session, I'll come back with some of the questions and answers to those as best that I can. And the other thing I want to say is I really want to honor the people that are on the front lines of this whole COVID-19 thing. Those who are in the medical profession, those who are grocery store workers, those who have jobs that are deemed necessary right now. Thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for being out there. And I know that you are experiencing this a lot different than those who are quarantined at home and that kind of thing. I also want to honor those who are sick or have lost loved ones in this time. I'm so sorry. My heart breaks for you. My prayers, my heart is with you because that's not easy. And as well as those who have maybe lost a job or have a job on hold or are financially hurting right now. Again, I just want to honor you. I'm so sorry. So I will try to reach all different situations as I talk through this, but I want you to know that we're all in this together, right? It's fairly unprecedented that everyone around the world is experiencing the same thing. We're all reacting differently. It means different things to us. We have different emotional reactions, but we're all in this together. And so we're going to have to work together to get out of this and to move forward. Okay. So we got to learn emotional health together as well. So one of the things that I've noticed about myself as I've taken some time to kind of process and think about how all this has impacted me is that I am addicted to normalcy. In an everyday way, when everything's normal, I feel okay. I say, wow, I think everything's going okay. That must mean I'm okay. I feel safe. I feel the value that I need, those kind of things, right? And obviously, the board game of our lives have been flipped over, and all the pieces have flown everywhere, and so it's difficult, but it's also a chance to really take a look at our internal world, take a look at what's really important without all the usual distractions and without all the usual things, the normalcy to tell us that we're okay. We've got to look to some other places, and that's okay. It's hard. We don't like it. It's not fun for sure, but that's okay. Just the other day was my son's 7th birthday, Nolan. He's 7, and it broke our hearts to have to cancel the party we had planned for months at the trampoline park. In fact, my wife and I felt so bad that we went and, well, we didn't go anywhere. We bought a trampoline on Amazon and brought the trampoline park to him. And he's amazing. He probably handled it way better than I would. He's just like, yeah, it's okay, and at least I get to have my own trampoline. And we ended up having Sherry's parents over, my in-laws over for his actual birthday, but we all stayed outside and stayed 6 feet apart. And I think it broke my mother-in-law's heart to not be holding the grandchildren and all that kind of stuff. It's just weird. It's weird. Just strange times, right? And so we're all being limited. We're all being kind of pressed down into this space where we have to let go of some things. There's a newness. There's an awkwardness. We're all doing this for the first time, as Brene Brown has said in her newest podcast, which is really great. About this is the first time that we're in this, so give yourself some slack. We're all in this for the first time, but it's awkward. It's hard, and we're all having different emotional reactions to this time. So how do we do it? How do we navigate, right? And I want to start with busting a myth about emotions that our culture has. And we've all most of us at least have grown up with, and that is that emotions don't really matter that much. And if we feel something or whatever, we can kind of just get distracted, push it away, numb it, hide from it, put our head down and bust through, be busy enough not to let it matter, right? And then somehow it goes away. And the myth is that it goes away. It does not go away. You may be able to push it further down, but it does not go away. It stays there and actually gets worse and worse. It's like a poison in our body. It's like a broiling going on underneath, right? And actually, there's a great story that I like to use as an analogy, is that in the early 1900s, when they first had water heaters, it was only in the super expensive houses, but they were pretty excited about this because before they had to put a pot of water over a fire and do all that. But now they have piping and indoor plumbing, and they've got water heaters. Well, the problem is that you have these metal vats filled with water that you're heating up and heating up and heating up, and there's all this steam, all this heat, all this energy with nowhere to go. And what was happening is these metal containers were exploding because of the pressure. It would build and build and build, and it would blow through walls, and it would injure people, and it was a big issue, obviously. And so what they did was they came up with what's called a TNP valve, a temperature and pressure release valve. And if you have a practical or original water heater with your house, you can go down and look at it right now. Every one of them has a TNP valve, unless it's a newfangled kind, and it's on the side. And you can go down and just open that up a little bit. I wouldn't suggest doing that right now, but you can, and it just lets out a little water, lets out a little steam, but it does it on its own when there's too much pressure, right? So you see where this analogy is going, is that we walk around with all this energy, all this pressure going on inside of us, that if we don't have a way to let it out, it's going to explode. And this, and it's fear, it's anger, it's sadness, it's that intensity, it's overwhelmed, it's despair, it's all this that just gets broiling inside. And so we have to learn how to get rid of it in healthy ways. right? Because we don't want to hurt ourselves, we don't want to hurt other people. But if we just keep pushing it down, just shutting it down, it's gonna find a way out one way or the other, and we don't want to transmit it to everyone else around us or have it be negatively impacting ourselves. So the myth is that we can ignore emotions and it'll just go away. False. It won't. It'll stay and get worse, right? So we gotta learn healthy ways to do that. And one of the things um, we can learn about emotions that's really helpful is that every emotion is trying to honor pain, or at least honor reality, right? It's trying to honor pain. And we don't like to talk about pain. Nobody likes pain because it hurts, it sucks, it's not fun, it's uncomfortable. But emotion is actually God's gift to us to help us deal with pain. Um, I call it a pain filtration device or pain filtration tool because as the pain travels through this healthy emotional flow, there's fear, there's anger, there's sadness, and at the end, there's even some joy, right? And on the way, what we're doing is kind of releasing in healthy ways, if we know how to do that, this energy, this how this hurts, this sucks, I'm scared, I'm confused, I'm lost, I'm angry, I'm resentful, I'm full of hatred, I'm, whatever those things are. It's letting go, it's getting less intense as we release these, and by the end, what's left, what has been filtrated through the system, is actually you and I being better, being smarter, being stronger, transforming into the people that we were created to be. Okay. And so that's what that does. And so there's an emotionally healthy flow that we'll talk more about in a future episode of this webinar. But right now, just understand that's what's happening. And that's what emotions are really for. That's why we can say we want to harness the good energy of fear, of anger, of sadness, and of joy, right? Um, and so one of the ways we can do this, and it's a big category, but we can cultivate awareness, right? And awareness, the gift of awareness is that it gives us a clear understanding of reality, what's really going on. Okay. And when we're aware, when we notice what's going on, we have a choice in how we want to react. When we're unaware, we don't even know there's something to respond to, right? And then we just react. We're being triggered. We just boom. What's the reaction? When it doesn't feel like we have much of a choice, right? So what we want to cultivate is a life in general, but also in this time of saying, hey, how do I allow space to be curious? Allow space to step back, push the pause button, and say, what's really going on here? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? If I'm sad, why am I sad? What's going on here? Because what it's trying to do, that emotion is trying to tell you, you're in pain. You're in pain, right? And we have to understand pain from a very broad definition. It can be something very small. The other day, my wife ate some pizza, leftover pizza we had in the fridge that I had seen and said, man, I really want that pizza. And then I got there and one of the pieces was gone and I was angry. It was silly and it lasted for a second and then I got over it, or maybe 3 seconds, and then I got over it. But that was a little pain, or as Richard Rohr says, a little death. An expectation was not met that I had, and that hurt a little bit. And it's silly, right? But we can honor these things because we go through the day with many expectations not being met, with many things that we are in pain about, right? And it could be much bigger things, all the way to the other side of the spectrum of death and loss and all kinds of things and everything in between. So another example of an expectation is we shouldn't have to be dealing with a big pandemic going on all over the world. We shouldn't have to be staying at home. We shouldn't. This is not what I planned for. This hurts. This sucks. Ouch. Right. And so just think of like a little child who's hurt, like skin their knee, whatever. They're crying, they're hurting, and they're trying to get mom and dad's attention. And the thing is, if we ignore that little child, or just say, hey, just get through it. Just put your head down. You'll be fine. Whatever it is, they're just going to yell louder. They're just going to hurt more. They're just going to be more frustrated and try to get our attention all the more. Right. And so there's a little child inside of you, a little child inside of me saying, ow, I'm hurting. And the more we put our head down and try to ignore it, try to push through, the louder it's going to be yelling and try to get our attention. So the best thing we can do is once in a while is just turn towards our internal world, the little child inside all of us, and just say, hey, I'm so sorry. What would you say to a little child that's hurting? Hey, I'm so sorry. It's going to be okay. I love you. I got you. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll do this together. You're not alone, right? Those types of things. Care, be kind to your heart. Be kind to those young places inside that are saying, ouch, right? It's actually really helpful to even say the word, ouch, this hurts once in a while when you're feeling emotional pain, because it's telling your body, it's telling your brain to engage at that level, instead of just reacting and being triggered and only seeing the emotional part, or maybe not even seeing that, right? So we want to be aware. And another way to cultivate awareness is to create routines and rhythms in our lives. For many of us, we're at home, with with a workload. For some of us, others not. Some of us, have kids at home. Everyone's got a different situation, but almost everyone has a different set of expectations now on them, because the way that our lives has been structured have just been totally flipped upside down. There's not a commute to work right now. There's not a get the kids on the bus right now. There's not, those types of things. And so it's changing. And so some of us may be tempted to kind of just let that dictate our lives, whatever happens next. But the problem is that we need some things that are predictable in our lives to feel safe. Um, Now, we don't need to be addicted to it, but when we can put a process into our lives, rhythms to say, hey, we're going to wake up at this time, we're going to put clothes on. Like with my kids, my wife's doing a great job getting them in a rhythm every day, because they don't have school, they don't have preschool right now, but we still want to get them up and dressed and ready to go. And I do, and she does, to say we're still engaging, we're still going after things. What's today about? Let's be purposeful. And I know everybody's got a different life, and some of you are saying, man, it'd be really hard to do that. And some people are not process oriented or driven that way. But it doesn't have to be a lot, just a few things. This is the time we're going to have dinner, or shoot for every night, because we're all at home. Let's do that, or whatever that is. And the other part of that is, just like we do with kids, if you have young kids, we limit screen time, because it's just unhealthy to stay glued to a screen 24/7, right? So adults, let's do that too. Let's take some breaks from our screen, from the news feed, from social media, the dark black hole that Facebook can be. All of a sudden an hour goes by because we're just scrolling, right? Let's take a break. Let's put some time limits on the time we have watching news, or those types of things, because it's unhealthy for our emotions to deal with this all the time. This high level of you're in danger, you're in danger, you're in danger, everything's terrible. Your emotions are gathering that data, and they're trying to react to every single thing that's coming down the pike, and you can't. And those things are not all happening to you. They're not all happening to you right at this moment. So you got to take some breaks, create those routines and rhythms. Um, and another way to really help is through vulnerability. Right now, we've been saying, let's just be honest about how we're feeling, what's going on. Whatever you're feeling now, it's okay. It's okay. Don't try to stop being fearful. Allow yourself to be fearful, because it's a little scary, right? Or angry, or sad, or even the joyful moments that you have. Don't try to stop that because you feel guilty that somebody else is having a harder time, or that kind of thing. Allow yourself space to be where you're at. I see you, I hear you, you're okay, right? And so vulnerability is to open that part of you and go, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm feeling. It doesn't mean you got to share everything with everybody, but it means you need to be honest. What's the truth? What's really going on? And one of the things I love from Brene Brown, if you have not read anything by her, that kind of thing, really helpful stuff, especially in a situation like this. One of the things she talks about in one of her books is called the SHITTY. I don't know all my audience, so I don't want to offend anybody. First draft, or she calls it stormy first draft for others. So we'll just call it stormy first draft, right? And this is the idea that when we're emotionally charged, what we do is we exaggerate, we blame, we attack, we swear, we want to take it all out on somebody or something, right? And so her point is, do the stormy draft in a safe place. Don't do the stormy draft with the person that you're upset with. Don't do the stormy draft on Facebook, stormy first draft. Don't do it. Don't do it with your spouse if that's who you're upset with. In fact, what we need to do is find somebody really that's outside of our little containment unit, our little home right now, because what happens is when we just vent and complain and kind of have a pity party where we invite everyone else around us to it, we start triggering them and their reactions because they're a lot closer than everyone else to your exact situation. They may be feeling things differently, but it's affecting them very similarly if they're in the same house or if it's your spouse or that kind of thing. So find somebody outside of that, a call, a Zoom meeting, whatever, to somebody who's grounded, somebody who can listen and be a healthy place, not to try to fix it or figure it all out, or sometimes even to make you feel better, but just for you to vent it out. And that's a healthy way to express, oh my gosh, everything's terrible and this is why I'm so fearful. Oh my gosh, that person or that group of people or the government or whatever it is, I'm so angry with them because they're doing this, that, and the other. Let it out somewhere, but in a healthy way. And I mean, that's one of the things as a spiritual life coach, I've got a lot of people who are doing that, right, needing to do that right now on our coaching calls, because this is where we're at and I got to get all this off my chest, or else it'll be like the water heater exploding through the wall at some point and triggering everyone else around you, right? So you can find me, you can find other helping professionals, you can find hopefully a friend or two that you can reach out to that are in a healthy place. But you got to release that in that healthy way of, here's my stormy first draft, let me get it all out, right? Whatever your situation is. Um, so that kind of just goes right into empathy, because here's the deal. What I've noticed for myself and others that I've talked to is that we're starting to get this kind of tunnel vision, because the only place we can be is in our own home. And so it's my life, my family, just gets really, really centered here. And, and there's a lot of other people around the world in different situations, feeling different things, needing different things, that kind of thing. So empathy is the practice of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and saying, I wonder what they're feeling right now. And one thing I've noticed on Facebook, I'm not on a lot at all, but I've noticed, I'm on a little bit. And what I've noticed is in the past maybe week and a half, is fear has really turned into anger on all the posts and different things that people are saying, right? There's a lot more opinions than at first, and that kind of thing, right? So just, don't do your stormy first draft on Facebook. Don't try to find the person to blame and just kind of spew it all over everybody. We want to practice empathy, because even though somebody may disagree with you or you may disagree with them, there's got to be space to say they're probably hurting too. They've got some emotion that's trying to tell them, hey, you're hurting, you're in pain, and maybe they're doing the best that they can, just like you're doing the best that you can. Right? So kind of just taking a moment to pause, to be aware, to be curious. What's that about? Why is that person saying that? I wonder what it's like for them. I wonder what it's like right now for the doctors that have to be, on these crazy shifts and risking their health around patients right now in hospitals. I wonder what it's like to be the grocery store clerk who has to be, around everybody putting food on the shelves. I wonder what it's like to be the person who just lost a job. I wonder what it's like to be, um, a person with a child or a spouse, or they themselves are a person who has a compromised immune system and are really really at risk in this time. I wonder what it's like, and take a minute, send them, your good heart, your good prayers, your good. I want them to thrive in this somehow. I want them to find their stride in this. Even if they disagree with you, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense. Empathy is going to be huge to get us through this time, because we got to do it together, not apart. And what we have to do together is fight against scarcity, isolation, and diminishment. I really feel like these three are coming against us hard right now. I mean, we've all seen either pictures or been at the grocery store when there is just shelves that are empty and toilet paper is just gone. It's almost silly that specific things that are gone. We just went the other day, and it was flour, no flour anywhere to be found. Right? Everybody's making their own bread, I guess, or that kind of stuff. But I felt myself starting to go, scarcity, not enough for me. I better, there was some toilet paper at the grocery store I went to the other day, and I felt myself wanting to take like 4 packs, even though you're only supposed to take two, even though we have some toilet paper at home. Why? Because I'm feeling the pull of a scarcity mentality. And be careful of that, because that makes us react instead of respond. We want to respond in healthy ways because we're aware of what's going on, not react out of scarcity, not enough, that kind of thing. So have that perspective, have that awareness to go, hey, there are things that we're going without right now, but we are a long ways from being in a terrible position where, you know, where it truly is scarcity and barely surviving and that kind of thing. It's just we're not used to having to sacrifice a little bit. We're all sacrificing, so let's do that together, right? So to fight scarcity is really a loving kindness towards other people, that empathy of getting out of your own space, your own head, to say what do other people need too, and how do we survive in a situation like this, because this is more survival than we're used to. How do I sacrifice well, right? The other thing is isolation, and we are by definition isolated from each other in a lot of different ways, but don't give in to that, right? If you're an introvert, I get it. I'm an introvert as well. It kind of feels good. This is like I can finally be the introvert I always knew I could be. And you're telling me I can't go to big crowds or big cities and people stay away from me. This is what I've done my whole life. This is great. But don't underestimate how much we need each other and how desperate we are for connection, right? It's not as good as a hug to be on Zoom or to be on a phone call or FaceTime or whatever else. But it's really important. It's really helpful. It's really good. And there's a lot of lonely people out there right now. So think about those that you could reach out to. Think of a name right now of a person that you just say, hey, how are you doing? Right. And I'm going to encourage you to do more than a Facebook post or a text. To hear somebody's voice or even see somebody's face is really important in this time. Okay. And then diminishment, right? And this goes back to the empathy piece, where when we're not practicing empathy, we get really tempted to start diminishing other people and their opinions and their lives and that kind of thing. And that's just dishonoring. That's disrespectful. That's not how to love people well, and that's not healthy for ourselves. It's like a poison for ourselves when we start diminishing other people and other things. and and how come they're doing this or that, or whatever, it's their fault. That's not helpful, honestly. And the other thing I've seen is that actually a lot of people are starting to diminish themselves. I've been on a lot of coaching calls recently where I've asked people, so you realize that you have something that you can offer other people, right? You're anchored, you're fairly healthy. So just connection, just your voice, just looking each other in the eye over a Zoom or something like that helps people and their emotional health and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, yeah, maybe, but I don't, I'm not really that person, or I don't really have a lot to offer. I'm just so exhausted, or I'm just so scared I can't. Don't give in to that. Don't give in to that self-diminishment, because that's just holding you back from being part of this tidal wave of good that's actually happening all around us, right? Which is one of the ways, another way where we can really tap into good, healthy emotion and express it well, is to really find some things that are good. One of my coaching clients the other day phrased it as, we need a win. I need a win. People need a win right now, right? And there are wins happening all around us. Okay, people are starting to go out of their way to love each other well and be creative in this really strange time. People are putting Christmas lights out to spread cheer. There's a place in Atlanta and maybe some other places where when doctors and nurses get off their shift and walk out of the hospital, the apartment complex across the street, they all applaud as they come out and cheer for them, right? We missed the opportunity, but apparently a fire station near us, for children who have to cancel their birthday parties, the fire truck will come to your house and turn on the lights and honk the horn and the siren and all that, just to bring goodness and joy to a little child, right? This is happening all around us, okay? And what I sense and what I feel for myself and my clients and other people that I interact with is that what's happening is there is an army of good that's being mobilized right now. And you have something to offer. You really do, to people, to yourself, to your children if you have children, to your spouse if you have a spouse, to friends, to coworkers, all that kind of stuff. And just kind of tap into your heart. Put your hand on your heart every day and say, what is it? What do I need? Feel what kind of nudges you towards. Do you need to take some time for yourself? Right? Tap into your internal world, because it'll tell you a lot. Do you need to spend some extra time with one of your kids, because you can kind of just tell that they need that? Do you need to just give your spouse an extra hug or extra conversation or extra love today? Is there somebody that and love that you just feel nudged to reach out to and connect with, ask how they're doing? Because it's different out there right now. We're not in a time where people are just saying, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Good. Okay, see ya. We're in a time where people want to tell you, hey, this is how this is affecting me. And so we have an opportunity to love people that way, to be somebody who initiates connection and love and joy and peace and hope and everything good. And we can all do that, just by reaching out and just by being open. So don't hold back. I mean, look in your phone, scroll through your contacts, and see if anyone jumps out at you to say, hey, just reach out and see if there's a phone call, a Zoom meeting, a text, whatever that can be helpful. So be a part of the solution. Be a part of this tidal wave of good that's happening. It'll be so good for other people. It'll be so good for your heart. Okay. So we are winding down here, and there's obviously a lot more that we can talk about that's important in the emotional health and how to manage our emotions. And so I'm going to do multiple of these webinars, and I'll do videos that we can put out as well. So if you can't attend, you can watch them afterwards and that kind of thing. So the date of the next webinar is, let me look up here, is going to be on Friday, April 3rd at 11 a.m. And then this video will be a link on my website, a link that I'll send around, and please share it with anyone you think this would be helpful for. And please visit deeperministry.com to find out more about me and coaching and what I do. And we have a weekly reading send out that you can get a lot of our posts that I write in your inbox and stay connected that way. And these videos will be part of those send outs and all that kind of stuff. So get connected with us. Just takes putting your email in the subscribe box on front page. And please get in contact with me through deeperministry.com and the contact area at the bottom of the front page if you have any questions or I can help you in any way. So thanks so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.